Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, Dennis Dick. A lot to get to on today's show. We're still in this buy-the-dip mentality. It seems like we're never quite able to shake that for more than a couple of days. So we're going to talk about which stocks are being bought this morning and which stocks are bought overnight. We have a couple earnings on our list. Target leading the way, Lowe's. We had Lazy Boy, Urban Outfitters, Red Robin, Momo, ADI, a couple of those too. We'll get to as many of those as we can. I hope we'll get to all of them. Maybe if we have time, we'll talk about this quote-unquote longest bull market in history. I have some opinions about that. And yeah, we'll take your questions in our chats. Join the show, premarket.benzinga.com, youtube.com/BenzingaTV. Joel, tell us about what's happening in the markets overnight. But you're on mute, though.
I was just talking really soft.
Oh, okay.
The buy the dippers had prevailed once again, and some of those buy the dippers were in the pre-market chat last night. The news hit. We'll go over the news a little bit. We got all the way down to 46.25. Bounced off those lows, came back and made a high at 28.61 That's going to be my number of the day because that was our close right at 61 even. That is the big level that we need to get through. Actually, the close was 61.75. So let's see, we go green on the day, take back 50%, be a very, very impressive day in the markets. The high from yesterday was 28.74. Crude above $67 at $1.23. Caught a nice bid right in the after hours trading. So not a lot of resistance, folks, in crude. We talked about this yesterday. Until you get into the upper 67 handle, your 6-day high is 67.79. Gold up $5.90 at $12.05.90. That's nice. Getting back above that $1,200 level. And silver up a nickel at $14.82. And don't look now, but Bitcoin's up $260 in the futures. You made a high at 68.80. We've talked about that major resistance level here, or the trading range that we've had in Bitcoin. But let's bring in Triple D. And I think you said you had 47 positions on today.
Yeah, 47 overnight positions. So I'm in a fast market. Obviously, we sold off last night on the decisions there. And when you see the S&Ps really falling, I'm going to be trading fairly actively in the after-hour session. So kind of in a fast market, trying to work out of some of this stuff. I'm kind of all over the place. Mostly hedged, so I've got.
Did you get hit on a lot of stuff? Did you have a lot of bids out there? And
I did get hit on a little bit, but not really. Typically I'm just playing the arbitrage as much as I can, but trying to be fast. But I was trading a lot of the earnings stocks there too. I mean, last night Lowe's was bid up ahead of the report, so I'm like, wow, you're reporting into a pretty tough tape there. We already saw them sell off Home Depot on pretty good earnings, so I was like, even if Lowe's beats, I'm not sure that they're going to. They're going to be able to go up in this tape. So I shorted Lowe's last night, bringing it in. Already covered it here this morning, the 97 handle. So it was a good one. I mean, just, little plays like that, taking, again, all I do is I take the, whatever information the market is giving to me and then try to make a trading decision off that. And I felt comfortable being short Lowe's going into the report for the simple reason that Home Depot was sold off on good numbers. We're in a tough tape here. I figured we are going to be in a tougher tape, but we bounced back off the lows already. So that's why I played it from the short side, and it worked out.
All right, Spencer, you want to give us that report, and I'll do a quick technical breakdown.
We're looking at Lowe's or Target?
Let's do Lowe's and Target. Do Lowe's first.
All right. Lowe's reporting. God, I never get that ticker right. I always do L. Lowe's Q2 adjusted EPS $2.07. versus a $2.02 estimate. Sales $20.89 versus $20.81 billion. So beats on the top and the bottom line for the Q2. As far as guidance is concerned, fiscal year EPS guidance coming in Light, I'm not sure if that compares, however. 450 to 460 was the range they gave. 545 was the EPS estimate. They see comps for the year up at 3% and total sales for the year up around 4.5%. They also named a new CFO.
Lowe's actually trading down about $3 here. So I've closed my position here. I feel like 97 here. I know it ticked down to 95, but it was trade like 100 shares down there. So it wasn't going to be an easy cover down there. Obviously, I'd love it if I would be able to cover down there. So you had to work it a bit. Now you can actively. It's a tight market, 97.10 to 97.20. The retailers, have been bought sometimes on the dips. We saw this before. So I don't think I'm necessarily coming here and shorting it now. Obviously, I was willing to short it ahead of the number. But it's trying to find some support here. Kind of a coin flip for me. I mean, Home Depot, and Spinner's saying they bought it off the report. I'm trying to remember exactly. Like, I thought initially, didn't Home Depot on initial numbers have a spike and then sold
Yeah,
out?
Dennis, when did you get it? Because it had it traded up to 101.20 it off the headline report there. And then,
No, I shorted it. I didn't short it on the number. I shorted it last night into the report. I shorted it at $100. Somebody was bidding it up last night at $100. And I just had, a feeling that I thought they were going to hit it maybe no matter what. But I was using, the Home Depot towel.
Exactly.
When Home Depot reported, don't you remember? I thought it rallied initially.
It did.
They're saying the opposite.
It went to 200.
Oh, spike. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it spike dropped and then bought. Well, we don't know the bought part yet, but I might agree. It might actually follow the exact same thing here. We saw the spike, a little spike there on obviously
very little volume.
Now we saw the drop, and now we're seeing a little bit of buying the bounce or buying the dip. So it could do the exact same thing here, which, if that was the case, then 97.30s could get bought here, but still to be determined. I'm already out. I've made my trade. I'm out. But give me your thoughts here, Joel.
There was very few shares traded up there in the 101 handle. 70 actually. And then you had the overreaction, took it down to 94.50 and a quick rebound. But I like to look at the 15-minute chart right now. And since 7 o'clock here, 98's the level. You've tried several bounces to get above 98. You're currently trading in 97.30. So I'll call 98 that resistance and get above that. Maybe get a shot into yesterday's range. Yesterday's low was 98.81. And then just picking up a low here. There were a couple lows in the lower 97 handle, 97.16 and 97.33. So 97 to 98 looks like to be the early range here in Lowe's, LOW.
Jump over to Target, which was the other big report here from this morning, and it is up $5. It is following Walmart to a T. So again, if you're using the towel and Walmart went up $10 on its earnings report, then if you were buying Target ahead of the report, it was a good towel for you, and it's up 5. So you're getting towels from these other stocks, and they are following suit. This market in this earnings season has followed suit a lot of times here. That being said, too, I mean, Target, they bought it, it dipped, and they're buying it more here again now, and it's getting close, I think, Joel, to the pre-market highs, is it not?
Oh, it's inching up there. Initially they took it up to $89, right on the kisser. Then you had your major pullback under 85, and now you're just creeping up here. So keep an eye on $89, holding up here right now. 90, since we've never been up to 90. In fact, we're taking out the all-time high. I see at 85.81 in June of 2015. So that's a former all-time high. Just call that. But this thing, and I'm kind of regretting not shorting Walmart after that report. But look at that. They're backing and filling in Walmart here. That day that you got up over 100, hit 95.36 yesterday. So I don't know. Maybe let the dust settle in Target today. Let it bounce around, and just take note that Walmart, there was a little bit bigger move, has not been able to hold those gains.
No, it hasn't. So it's something to consider as well. Full disclosure, I do have a small trading position there in Walmart. We didn't get the numbers for Target, though. We skipped over Spencer. Did you give the numbers, or did I miss it?
I did not, but that's okay.
Let's get the numbers for Target.
EPS Q2 $1.47 versus $1.40. Sales 17.7 versus 17.73. 78.73. So beats on both the top and bottom lines for Q2, raising the EPS guidance for the fiscal year by 15 cents on the low end of the range from 5.15 to 5.30. Q3 EPS guidance coming in line. they talked on CNBC, the CEO did, about strong holiday season and taking more market share with Toys R Us going away. But overall, just beats on their earnings, and they raised EPS guidance for the fiscal year, and that's a recipe for success.
That's a nice report. I mean, 90 might come into play here, so keep that in mind. We've come a long ways here, and you get to those big psychological levels. Sometimes they like to sneak above it, go to like 90 and a quarter, and then come back down through it. So keep that in mind if you're trading, and I think 90 could potentially come into play here on target today. Let's go Red Robin. It reported last night. Now, this warned, though, did it not? It had the big gap down like a couple of weeks ago. Didn't it warn already?
Yes. So they pre-reported. Right. So
you shouldn't do that, because you pre-report, they already reported. I've seen this happen before. It's ridiculous. You pre-report and they hit you on it, and then you report and you miss, and they hit you on it. Well, we already told you miss.
That's what
we were gonna miss. So they hit you twice.
Yep, for the same number. So they pre-reported August 1st because they said the numbers are going to be so bad that we're just going to get it out of the way right now. So the numbers were out August 1st. They're out again yesterday. So I guess
they didn't get better.
No, they didn't get better. Surprisingly, Q2 EPS 46 cents versus 48 cents. Sales 315 versus 316 million. So not terrible on the Q2 as far as the earnings were concerned. The guidance, though, is light on the EPS and the sales. Comps for the quarter were down 2.5%. Comps for the fiscal year are going to be down 1 to 2%. Again, they said all this 2 weeks ago, but I guess we're going to hit them again. Double jeopardy? I don't know.
Yeah, they hit it again, so I don't totally understand that either, but it's kind of comical. So when we pre-report, just be prepared, you companies out there, because they'll hit you twice. Anyways, we already knew this. So even though it looks like a bad report here, we already knew this. It's already mostly priced in. So I would not be surprised if this stock finds a bit. It's starting to find some support in the 38s. I don't know if it's going to go back to flat here or not, but I'm not selling it on numbers that I already knew. I already got sold on it, and I already started to rally on it. So in this buy the dip mentality here, I don't mind our RGB in the 38s.
Okay, I really don't like their burgers. So have you?
I don't think I ever ate there.
Yeah.
Is it good?
No,
you don't like them.
Yeah,
Spencer, let's get have you ate a Red Robin before?
Many years ago, once or twice. I don't remember. I don't remember anything about it. So
they couldn't have been that great.
I couldn't tell you. I mean, I remember being it's like chili. I don't know. They're all the same. They're like Chili's, Ruby Tuesdays. I don't know.
That's what my problem is. It's like, how do you differentiate all these burger joints? I mean, yeah, okay, this is a sit-down burger joint, but I mean, there's just so many, so competitive. I mean, it's got to be tough, when everybody's doing the same thing. It's a burger joint. I mean, there's a billion burger joints. The same thing I argue with Shake Shack. And, I've talked about this before, and, people say, oh, it's a growth story. But, is it really, when same store sales are already falling? So you can open up these stores here and you can continue to expand, but same store sales aren't even going up anymore. I go in there and pay $15 for a burger that I can get at Checkers or at Five Guys for almost half the price. And it's pretty good too. I mean, over there, those Five Guys burgers are awesome. I don't think the Shake Shack burger is any better than the Five Guys burger. And the Five Guys burger is like $7 or $8. The Shake Shack burger was pushing me up to $12 or $15. It's too much money.
I paid for it. It was a lunch.
You did. It was one of the lunches.
I paid for it. You're still complaining. I paid for it. You're still complaining about it. You're unbelievable here. All right. This Red Robin here is pulling back here. It's down to $1.40. Kind of been all over the place here. On the day that they pre-released, they got the 36.20, still a couple bucks away. Just a bunch of lows in here at 37.65. Actually, I see three lows right at the 37.50 area. So, you warned, you went down. You released, you went down. I mean, shorts got another opportunity to cover here. So we'll see what happens.
I like it. I'm actually thinking about going long. I didn't yet, no position on it, but just for a trade, because I think people are hitting this, not realizing it already reported those numbers. I think it's going to bounce back.
Okay.
So that's my opinion. Market still continues to kind of leak here. We did bounce all the way back up to try to get only down 3 or 4 points here. We're starting to leak a little bit more here. So a little bit of selling pressure as we continue on. Obviously, we haven't even discussed, the verdicts yet, which we can get into in a few minutes if you want. Let's just maybe finish off the earnings and then we can move on.
Sure.
Let's go to China and talk Momo. This is a stock that absolutely got annihilated last week, and they came out and they started buying it. And last night they were buying ahead of the report, and now they're buying it after the report. They're liking the Momo.
Yeah, the Q2 EPS 66 cents versus 61 cents. Sales 493 versus 479 $1 million. So beats on both.
And it's China stock, so if they were to miss, they just make up the numbers, wouldn't they? China stocks ever miss? Should I not say that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they have a lot less accounting standards over there, so it's kind of funny. You rarely see those companies miss, because if the numbers aren't that great, they probably we'll just push a little decimal over this way. Anyways, the Chinese stocks tend to beat on earnings for whatever reason. Momo beats here.
I just noticed that you're the only one laughing at that.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah. Okay.
We laughed. We've had that joke on the show before, though.
Yeah. All right. Joel, technicals?
Let's take a look at Momo here. You had a spike up to $45 even. And you ever know, Dennis, I'm sure you noticed how many times that, these moves, they stop on the whole numbers. I mean, That's just so common. It stopped at 45. Pull back. You got a buyer here in the lower 43s. I don't know if this person's going to go away or not. 43.11 just seems like is there an iceberg bid out there or something, Dennis? It just looks really hasn't been able to trade through there. Can you give me the bid and offer and see if there's any icebergs in there?
It's hard to tell because I haven't been watching it. The only way to really determine an iceberg is if you're watching it and you see it hitting it and it's not moving. But I can tell you this: the book's pretty thick. At least the pre-market book here. It bids at 43, 43.01, 43.10, 43.11, 43.15, 16, 20, 21. There's a big offer, 43.50 for 10,000 shares at NSBUX.
Really?
So that's not huge. I mean, it's traded 319,000 shares, so one guy can just go gulp and take it out. But it's starting to form some bids here.
All right. It came down hard. It really, to me, it looks like it needs to clear 44. I think to have a huge update. 43.94. That was your July 26th high. So that's a pretty big seller there. If he's showing 10, he may want to do more than that. So keep an eye on 43.94. As I said, pre-market high, 45 even. SBUX continuing.
Yeah, we are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little bit uglier here on the market. So I'm just trying to move bids down. I'm always trying to play adjusting, and not running full high frequency here. So doing a little bit of manual stuff as well. But obviously don't want to get picked off on some bids as this market's starting to come in significantly here, at least right now. Jump over here to the other earnings stock was Urban Outfitters. Actually, there's quite a few of interesting ones. Let's go Lazy Boy, because Lazy Boy is. And where are they headquartered, Joel?
Well, what? I had Spinner last night, and he said Kalamazoo. I am so disappointed in
Spinner.
Can we give him a timeout? Come on, chat. I'm not going to tell you where is Lazy Boy, especially with Google. Come on now. First one gets a free trial of Benzinga Pro. But anyways, they are dancing in the streets in Monroe, Michigan, my hometown. Also, home
is that
of
where you're from?
I also home of Miss America.
You're born in Monroe, Michigan?
I was actually born in Detroit. And
it's my hometown, but it's not his town.
My parents lived in Monroe, and
gotcha.
Last hospital was in Detroit. So, and also home of Miss America, like in the early 1980s, Kaylani Ray Rafko. I mentioned that she was on my swim team as well. Lazy Boy, this is the biggest move I've ever seen in Lazy Boy. Than her? Of course, there was only a few. Only a few girls in. No girls could beat me. I mean, it was just the other, some of the guys on the team. But anyways,
sexist guys.
All right, numbers, Lazy Boy. Q1
EPS change the story.
31 cents versus 25 cents on the EPS. So it beat sales 384 million versus 368 million. Beat on that. I'm not seeing any guidance that jumps out to me, but they beat on the top and the bottom line.
Wow. I mean, I'm going back a ways here. Dennis, what do you have? All-time high.
Or was this high, Joel? Talk to me.
I think this is an all-time high. I'm looking at.
Is it an all-time high for Lazy Boy? All right, this has got to be the retail bubble now. With Lazy Boy the house of, shares is trading at all-time highs. This has got to be. I had to go back and look here too. We weren't higher back in like the year 2000 or anything like that. This is an all-time high for Lazy Boy. This has got to be. This is going to be what they talk about, the event that topped out all of the retail rally when Lazy Boy went up 20% on earnings or whatever it's up today. I guess it's up 17% and made new all-time highs. That's going to be the top. So a little bit of a joke, but a little bit of seriousness all at the same time there. This retail rally is getting ridiculous.
Let's, all-time high here.
Effect. It is not an effect. It's officially over. It's officially over. The Amazon effect is officially dead, is what the market is saying. I don't believe that. I think eventually a lot of these companies, these retailers that just can't stop getting bought are going down eventually. But I mean, this Lazy Boy, I'm not buying this thing up 18%. Not with your money, not with my money, not with my grandma's money. No, maybe it goes to 40, maybe it goes to 41. Things get hot, continue to go. But I think when the dust settles, when we look at Lazy Boy a year from now, I think it's lower.
Okay. All right. 39.15 is your last print. Your pre-market high stands at 40.10. They are throwing some volume around here. So, man, this thing bounces all up. This is the first time up here, so a chance to sell an all-time high in Lazy Boy. And actually, I'm going to try and get a hold of one of my buddies from Monroe and see if I can find out if everybody in Monroe is buying the Lazy Boy chair. So S&Ps, I'm down 7 here at 54.75.
Getting some requests for my Lazy Boy story next quarter.
Come on, you haven't do the short version.
The short version isn't any good.
Yeah, the short version is not.
Want it or not?
That's just getting mad.
Yay or nay?
No, I'm not.
Yay or nay?
Yeah.
You be doing it? Yay or nay?
I say do it. It's been like at least 2 or 3 quarters since you told this.
Oh, okay. So let's go. Okay, so we'll take 3 minutes here. I'll try to tell in 3 minutes. So my buddy goes, and this is back in the university days. So we're taking it back like 20 years ago. And my buddy goes to Ohio State game down in Ohio, obviously. And he's goes to, or he's staying over at his buddy's house, but his buddy had a party, like after the game. So the party went all night. So they went out to the bar. They come back from the bar and they're looking, and he's supposed to be staying at his buddy's house. He's like, there is just like bodies everywhere. Like the guy had a kegger, like there was just no place for him to sleep at all. So he's like, where am I going to sleep here? There's no place to sleep. It's like 2 a.m. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. So he sees this Lazy Boy and he's like, oh, that looks pretty good. I'll just, sleep in this nice Lazy Boy that's sitting right here. So he, puts in Lazy Boy and he just kicks her back and relaxes, and the Lazy Boy trying to fall asleep. Then he kind of, when you're like sleeping, sometimes this used to happen to me, you kind of jerk yourself awake a little bit. So he kind of jerks himself awake a little bit and kind of just, and he sits up really fast. Anyways, he sits up so fast that he actually closes the Lazy Boy, closes his leg inside the Lazy Boy. So he's like, oh, my leg, I've got stuck in this Lazy Boy here. So he tries to open the Lazy Boy with the handle, but you can't because you have to push the Lazy Boy, the recliner part in for it to open up. But he can't push it in because his leg is caught in the Lazy Boy. So he can't go in. So he's sitting here and he's like, oh, my leg hurts. How in the hell do I get out of this Lazy Boy here? Trying to push on the handle more. It will not open. So then he's yelling, buddy, but then he gets nervous. So this is the best part of the story. He gets nervous. So he's trying to really reef on it. He actually leans over and the Lazy Boy falls over on its side. So now he's got his leg caught in the Lazy Boy. He's laying on his side and his leg is hurting like crazy. He's yelling. He starts yelling at his buddy, wakes his buddy up. Buddy looks at him and just starts laughing. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm stuck in this Lazy Boy. Get me out of here. So he's laughing. He's like, stop laughing. It's serious. My leg hurts. So he's trying to open up. His buddy's trying now to open up the Lazy Boy, like 3 o'clock in the morning. They're trying to open it up. Can't get it open. So wakes up another person. There's 3 people now trying to open this Lazy Boy, and they can't open it because, again, you have to push in the recliner part for it to open, and his leg won't allow it to do that. His leg is now going numb on him. He's like, my leg is really starting to hurt. He's like, I know this sounds crazy, but call 911. So they're like, we're not calling 911. Call 911. I'm not losing my leg in a Lazy Boy accident. So they call 911. The 911 operator, he says, I've got my friend. He's caught in Lazy Boy. 911 operator says, we get a lot of serious calls. Please, don't, joke around here on 911. They're like, no, seriously. My buddy's leg is caught in a Lazy Boy. You've got to, get over here because his leg is like going blue. Anyway, so they send the police over, or the police over, and the police get there, or the ambulance gets there. I think it was actually the ambulance. They get there, and they're trying to. They just walk in and they both start laughing again. Like the ambulance drivers start laughing. They're like, "This is, the guy's sitting there and he's caught in this Lazy Boy." So they try to open up. They can't do it. They call over. They have to call and get the jaws of life. Not kidding you. They call, get the jaws of life, and they have to actually cut the Lazy Boy, the recliner part, to get his leg out. So the whole, process took a good hour and a half. Finally, his leg is released and is out. Next Monday in the newspaper, it's headline: "Man rescued from Lazy Boy with jaws of life." Not kidding.
You never told us of the newspaper part, Spencer. Did he ever tell us the newspaper part?
I don't care. Bravo.
No,
I don't think so.
No jokes. He actually had to use the jaws of life to rescue him from the Lazy Boy. So be careful. Moral of the story is, be very careful on those Lazy Boys and don't get your leg caught in them, because you quite possibly might have to get rescued with the jaws of life to get your leg out.
Okay. All right. I think that was like a B minus version.
It wasn't a very great version. I was trying to tell it fast. It's a 10-minute story. I told it in 4 minutes. So it wasn't the best version.
Okay. All right. Anyways, $40, big level there, and Lazy Boy. So we'll see what happens. Trying to get a hold of my buddy DP down in Monroe to see if everybody in Monroe is buying a Lazy Boy chair. So, all right.
Not after that story.
828
we're
here.
getting some questions
Bitcoin,
in the chat.
6,600. What's up, Spencer? You still here?
Yeah, we're getting some questions in the chat about people talking about exact sciences. So let's go to EXS.
Yeah, let's go to that.
They did have some news this morning, a partnership, a promotional agreement with Pfizer, where they're going to join in their marketing campaign for Cologuard. The Exact Sciences CEO was on a conference call saying the Pfizer deal will have very little impact on sales this year, but the stock is blasting off this morning.
Symbol is EXAS, and yeah, it's up $10 here. So you get deals with the big guns. This will happen. These things are hard to trade. I mean, when the stock's going up 20%, it's going to be wild. If you're trading, I would always recommend you reduce your size because it's going to be a wild child. Joel, give us some levels. I reserve comment on this stuff. This stuff is out of my wheelhouse when it's trading up on news on a deal, because the stuff can get pretty crazy.
Well, full disclosure, I have this in one of my portfolios, the Never Sell portfolio. This was actually Lisa's pick, being involved in the medical industry. And we picked this one up really good. We picked this one up in the lower 40s. And I didn't look at it. And I saw it did trade up over 70 and had to report. And in this portfolio, I never will do anything with a stock ahead of a report. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So the report came out, and I was not happy about it, obviously. I mean, we're in the low 40s, so it wasn't that bad. But boy, oh boy, it took it on the chin. Now you're gapping into a gap area. Oh, pre-market high even got over 62.50, and now you backed off to 59.60. You're filling gaps. I'll keep an eye on 62. Well, actually 63.05. That was a high in July 27th. If I didn't have this in a portfolio that I don't sell things in, I'd be really tempted to sell it today because it's a big move, and this deal, I mean, is it immediately accretive? I mean, I mean, these things, I just think it's probably over, the downside was an overreaction, and now this rally is an overreaction. So I don't know. I just natural. I'd be a natural seller in this up 20%, but how many times have you gotten railroaded doing things like that? So
I mean, selling it short's so scary too. And you see these things go 20 and then they go up another 10% and continue to go higher. Sometimes you see the gap and go. Very difficult to trade. I think I'm along with you. I think if I was long, I probably would be ringing the register because it's an overnight windfall, but I'm not going in here and going short. Because it's just, I've seen this happen so many times where stock, you think, okay, well, this is overdone, and it just gets more overdone. it seems like when the ball gets going one direction, especially on an intraday basis, it can continue in that direction for an extended period of time. So I'm not going to trade this at all. I'm not taking it off my screen so I don't get tempted to trade it even.
Okay. All right. Imbalances here with the SBUX down.
Yeah, let's go take a look. There's nothing really huge here. They're pretty small. Pfizer, we've had a sell imbalance on that one for a while. Full disclosure, I do have a short position on in Pfizer. 99,000 to sell here, PFE. But, it's very mixed here. So I'm not seeing anything really like, whoa, this really stands out as a big buyer imbalance or a big sell imbalance. It's kind of just mixed. They're small. And I think it's, again, because this market is so choppy here today, it's really hard probably for this market to get a feel for, exactly, whether it wants to go up or down. Well, obviously it wants to go down, but I mean, it's chopping around within this range that we have from last night. So let's just talk the S&Ps from last night, because how low did we get? Because sometimes, the overnight low is usually, sometimes makes the low of the day, and that's significantly lower than we are now. Where are we? Tell us where we are now, and tell us, where we were overnight.
Okay, we got down to 46.25, so we're 9 handles off that low. And then when we came back, we came all the way back to 61.25. I actually was trying to short it at a little bit above that at 63 even, but people put their stop or right at the low. And what was interesting too is we sold off at the end of the day. Remember? And we sold off ahead of this news. So maybe someone had this news a little bit early because we were really weak. We closed on the intraday low of 61 even, and then we were just drifting lower and came back. So 46.25 is the number on the downside. I have nothing in the 40 handle. I have nothing down to 28.35, which was Friday's low. I don't think we're going to see that today. But 46.25, 50.25 was Monday's low. So if you're a person that likes to throw out the pre-market action and just say, okay, I'm a intraday trader, the lowest we traded this week during the regular session has been 50.25. So I'll give that a 2-star, and I'll put the pre-market low of 46.25 as a 3-star. And then that close area, 61.75 is really important as well. Des, let's do a little bit of revisionist talk here, which we don't do a lot, but let's talk about the brokers. And there was from yesterday. Did you get down and dirty in any of those? Or
I tried, but they all opened so low. I mean, the trade was already kind of over. So if you had them short coming in, congratulations, you had a windfall yesterday from that JP Morgan news. But they kind of opened up and they opened down and they just kind of stayed down. So they really didn't do that much after the big gap down after the open. But you look at this and they look ugly on the charts now because they all got the gap downs. I mean, IBKR is trying to hold its support level, but AMTD, ended up losing almost $5. It's down a little bit more here. I do have some of these positions on for continuation of moves. You know how I love playing that. When stocks close weak, sometimes the next day they're weaker. And with the tape last night, I thought there might be some continuation. I've seen that to a certain extent. I am short AMTD and I am short E-Trade, both of those. But again, I'm probably looking to cover those here this morning. So those aren't long-term trades. Those are definitely just short-term overnight trades here. So I'm looking to cover those either in the pre-market or at the open.
Wow, this is pretty interesting. Interactive Brokers got within 13 cents of Monday's high. 62.57 was Monday's high.
I did not notice that. So they had a little rally in there.
Yeah. They had a little rally, and then they came back and closed on the lows. The reason I'm not nibbling on these short-term or long-term is I just didn't like the chart, or I didn't like the trend going in before this news came out, right? So they've been selling off. So we'll see what happens. I mean, is everyone going to close their account and go to JP Morgan now and, start trading? I don't know. I would like, if you think this is a dip to buy, then look at the recent lows of the move, 53.20 for TD Ameritrade. That would be a level to lean on. And then for Interactive Brokers, do you know I like their commercials about paying money markets on their accounts. For this one, the low of the move in August was at 58.81. But if you want to wait and buy this on strength, see that high from yesterday, 62.50. That's your major resistance. I wouldn't look for any upside till it clears 62.50.
Can I jump in here with
sure?
Of course.
The power of Oprah is never to be questioned. Kraft Heinz just announced a collaboration with Oprah for the launch of Oh, That's Good frozen pizza. And you saw KHC get the bounce just off that news. That was minutes ago.
What time did that come out?
Let me look at the PR. Came out at 8:30 on the nose.
So we're 6 minutes after. I don't like, fighting Oprah here. I'd actually be interested in buying this thing right now.
I bet you would.
I did not read. Obviously, we're doing a live radio show, so I haven't read the details here. But
I'll read you the details. I'll read it to you right now. They're launching. They're launching a new line of premium frozen pizzas. This launch is the third category from Mealtime Stories, the joint venture between Kraft Heinz and Oprah that started in 2017. So this is the third launch of that partnership, and they're just launching. They're going to sell some frozen pizzas with Oprah's face on it, I guess.
Can't hurt. It's maybe not this. It's not like this is a huge growth stock potential for Weight Watchers. It's not exactly the same thing here. So you can't say this is going to pull a Weight Watchers because Oprah's involved, but it doesn't hurt. So, and I see a lot of retail buys going off right now here at 60/40. I can tell because the FINRA TRF. So I don't know if I'm chasing this thing and saying I'm going to pay up 1% right now, because this is not the same as Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers was in the doghouse. Weight Watchers had, a potential for a growth story, and it did. I mean, it's a food stock. So it doesn't hurt, but don't think this is going like $80 or $90 because Oprah's involved. I think it doesn't hurt. I think you could see a short-term lift in this. I think I was interested in buying Kraft Heinz before, though. Twice I've been in it. We know that. I bought it, twice. I played it from the 60 to the 63 area, and then it did it overnight. I just couldn't help myself when I bought it like in the 59 handle, and I had to sell the big spike up to 63. So I'm flattening it again in the swing trade account. But interested here. It's right back in this. This does not hurt. I just don't know if I'm paying up 1% this morning in a week tape.
Well, two things. One, full disclosure, I'm not scalping this in and out of my portfolio like Dennis is. I bought this as a long-term hold, just under $60. So not selling it on this kind of news. Probably, I don't know, probably give it to Dana and Emily. But the thing about this is also the big difference. Oprah put some big money in, it had ownership in the company and Weight Watchers. So it's different, much different circumstance. Pre-market high, boom, is 60.50. Actually traded, 60.50. So I'll look at that as resistance here. Also, yesterday's high was 60.75. So still a sleepy looking chart here. And if it goes into reverse at all, just under $60, your two lows are right at the 59.75 area if it happens to get back some of these gains.
It doesn't hurt. Remember, sometimes CNBC will come on and mention it afterwards. And if they do mention it, CNBC is always late to the party. They mention the news sometimes 10 or 15 minutes after it happens, probably because they got a lot of other stuff going on too. And I mean, it's like us too. I mean, you can only mention so many things, but they come in with like breaking news and says Oprah is going to buy Kraft Heinz, they'll probably get a lift on it again. So just keep that in mind if you're trading it. I don't think I would be shorting it today. I'll say that.
Okay. All right. S&P still lingering.
Still leaking
here.
a bit.
Yeah.
I'm down to 41 positions, so I'm slowly wiggling out here as I'm doing the live radio show here. I've got out of 5 things, but I've covered my Home Depot short because Lowe's is got almost all the losses back. So I'm like, I don't even need to be short Home Depot anymore. I was short Home Depot off a little sympathy play here, but sympathy looks like to be over here.
Look at that.
Almost all the way back to green. Yeah.
They cleared out that.
I mean, these moves here, Joel, and some of these stocks are just so impressive here. The comebacks. I mean, Kohl's yesterday, that's got to be one of the most impressive comebacks I think I've seen in a long time. The stock was down 15% at one time. It got green. So in the pre-market, on the initial report, the stock was down in the 72 handle. So it was down 15%. By noon, the stock was trading in the green, got all of those losses back. You buy the dip on that, immediately rewarded. And I mean, that continues to be the case. This buy the dips just seems to work. I guess in the last 5 years, and maybe this is a good segue into this bull market that you wanted to talk about, Spencer. In this last 5 years, the best strategy that has worked time and time again seems to be BTFD, which is buy the blank dip. And that's, what people joke about. It's become an acronym on Twitter. And I mean, it just seems to work, and it seems to work again and again and again. And not always going to work. Nothing works 100% of the time, but I'll tell you, If you're buying dips on the overall market, if you're buying dips on, so the major stocks, and you look back at them a year later, you're usually pretty happy you did that.
Correct.
So let's talk about this bull market here that has been raging, and we got the official title that this was what the longest bull market ever.
Yeah, that's what we're going on now.
Okay, talk to me about this.
I just
so
don't
why
know.
is it, first of all, why is it the longest bull market ever? Like, what's the date?
Because if you go from the bottom, from March of 2009 to today, we have gone all that time without a 20% correction.
So from March of 2009, we have not had a 20% correction in basically the last 9 years. Sounds right to me. I mean, we got close during when we had the oil really getting killed in early 2016. I think we got close. We had Ebola in there. That took us down 10%. There's been a few little scares, but holy cow, it has been relentless here. Now, you're arguing that this is not. You want to argue that?
I mean, this is like
expensive. Give me your argument.
It's like, I know it's semantics, and I know some people might not care, but it just this just annoys me because I don't think we were in a bull market in September 2009. I mean, if you go from the bottom, then yes, we were. But like, think about like your mentality at that time. Yes, we were off. We were off the lows. But if you're telling me, if you flash back, let's go back in time to the summer of 2009. If you thought we were in a bear market then you were the only person who thought that, because we were down. I want to say through the first 6 months of the year, I think we were up 1% in the S&Ps of 2009. So you're telling me we're up 1% for the year? We're in a bull market at that point?
It should almost be defined like the bull market starts when you recoup all your old losses. Like, that's how they should really define it, not just cherry picking the very bottom print, which nobody was getting. I can remember Jeff Mackey back during, one of the greatest, one of the things that made me laugh right out loud. I still think Jeff Mackey was like the best guy on Fast Money. They got rid of him because he had that, skit or whatever. But I know Jeff listens every once in a while. Shout out to Jeff there. Last time we gave him a shout on the Purple Crayon, he tweeted at us there. So Jeff's a great guy. Anyways, I just want to give him a shout out here again, because I remember him during the financial crisis. They were asking, what position, what are you getting in? What position are you in? And he says, the fetal position, because it was so ugly. I mean, everything was just getting annihilated back in 2007, 2008, and then up till March of 2009. And then we turned around and we started to crawl back. But I kind of agree with you, Spencer, because let's be honest, 2010, we were still, 30% off the highs in 2010? 2011, we were still, 20% off the highs? So I don't think the new bull market should start until it's made new highs. When did we actually, Joel, you can look at the charts in the S&P. When did we actually hit a new high on the S&Ps after the 2007 collapse?
I think that was March 2013.
So we did not hit a new high until basically 6 years later in March of 20. So I would argue with you, Spencer. I'm with you on this one. March 20. So I would say the start of the bull market was actually March 2013 when we recouped all of those losses. And then, obviously, we've been straight up for the next 4 or 5 years since then. So it's still a pretty long bull market, but you got a good argument there, buddy.
And not only that, if you go to May, the second half or the fall of 2011, you look at the first few months of the end of 2015, beginning of 2016, look at the first few months of this year. It's not like we've gone straight up. You know what I mean? Like, we have had corrections. We haven't had anything 20%, right, textbook correction, but we've come pretty darn close a couple of times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And who is defined? Like, who really made up these rules that an official bear market starts at 20%, official correction is 10%? Who's made up these rules? I don't know. What indices are you using? I mean, let's look here, recently in China. I mean, they'll argue this has not been a very fun bull market for them over here lately. So you can say U.S. bull market, but let's look at the world indices here too. In the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of these world indices have not participated at all. I mean, Canada has had a rough time. Really, we're up like 20% in the last 5 years on the Canadian indexes here, even though we've doubled on the S&P or close to doubled. I mean, U.S. we know has been the best place to be, at least in the last 3 or 4 years, continues to be that way. It's not always going to be that way, though. And just because the U.S. is in a bull market doesn't mean every other market is in a bull market too. I mean, you look at those European banks, And you tell them, anybody who's holding these things, that this has been one of the greatest bull markets of all time. In 2011, Deutsche Bank was 60. It's now 11. In 2011, Barclays was $21. It's now 9. I mean, these are some of your biggest banks here overseas. Hasn't really been a world bull market. I'll just say that.
And just talking corrections here. Remember the Jamie Dimon low? I'm trying to find in the article here. Remember, and I think someone mentioned.
What was that 2011?
No, that was more recent than that. That was in I think February of 2016. Remember, and I think that's when oil was bottoming, and Jamie Dimon we were like right on the lows of the move too, and he came in and bought 500,000 shares. And I think this was you can look on the chart, there's still a gap there from it. So I guess when Jamie Dimon sells those 500,000 shares that he bought in the 50s, then I'll say that's the top. Or when Warren goes to cash here, 847. S&P's just hanging out here in the mid 2850 handle. But good chat there on that, Spencer. I mean, for me, you can look at the different metrics. I think, the charts, tell you when, things. And right now, support's been moving up, making new all-time highs. Sure would like to see us blast over 2,900 and make another high. My trading range theory is looking weaker and weaker here, but we did test new all-time highs. Now the question is can we push through them?
Jump back.
I was going to go with the chat. I was going to go with the chat. A few people were talking about NEWA, New Water Technologies. This is interesting just because they actually came out with a press release saying that they have no idea why their stock is so volatile. And if they don't know, then I don't know.
What happened yesterday?
I don't know.
There has to be a reason why a stock all of a sudden goes from basically, and if I just look, this stock has been out there very long, but basically from all-time highs to all-time lows in one day. I mean, it almost traded the entire range from the last year in one day. There had to be some type of massive headline. No? Are they saying there's no headline for that movement?
They came out and said, we don't know. They have not released any.
Gotta be something.
Any information, any material, non-public information to analysts. The executives, directors, to their knowledge, have not sold or bought any shares in the last 30 days. They don't know. That's what they're saying.
Lobster will find.
Lobster. We need help. It's got to be. I'm on the Twitter feed now too, trying to find out as well. Can they do that? Are they allowed to do that? I mean, this is just going to show you, and I'll have one little tangent and let Joel talk about it because I know that Joel is getting upset and he gets to talk about it. It's not going to be on the show. But I just want to say this is why you've got to have discipline. Whenever you enter something, especially a smaller stock that's speculative, know where your out is. Don't let something, a trade where I like the chart become a long-term investment, and don't say I can't solve the loss, because I don't do that. I'll tell you, the people who decide that they're never going to take a loss, it's those people who will probably never make money in the long term in the markets. Right now, it's worked for the last 3 or 4 years because the stocks seem to always come back, but the bear markets will eat you alive. And they are coming here. I don't know when, but they will come again. So long term, you've got to be disciplined to take your losses and not turn, buy a stock at 26 and, all of a sudden, it goes to 25. It's like, well, I'm not selling 25. It's going to come back. And you look at it at $9 the next day. Don't let that happen. Be willing to admit when you're wrong and sell a loss. So anyways, Joel, what are you going to say about this crazy move?
I mean, the volume was crazy too. I mean, this thing was trading a couple $100,000, 3.3 million yesterday. I don't know what the short interest in it, but in a thin stock like this, I think it's Knee Water Tech. I mean, if you can get the ball rolling in one direction in a thin stock like this, actually, it made an all-time high yesterday. You talk about a key reversal. You get the ball rolling, you get the shorts in there. No, was this thing halted? This thing had to be halted several times yesterday. I mean,
you're probably on volatility, you would think.
Yeah. I keep an eye on the close or trading up in the pre-market, getting a little bit of a bounce. We'll check the short interest on 2. 926 was the close. I think you'll find buyers if there's really no news on this. 926 was the close. The lows was 861. And this is a fairly new IPO that came out in July. $7.32 is the all-time low. But be careful with this one. If the company don't know what the heck's going on, then there could be some announcements coming. But you rarely see that kind of a move without some kind of news on it. And
even Lobster's coming up empty, Joel.
Lobster's coming up empty.
Lobster, he's always our news guy there in the chat. He's coming up empty here too. So we don't know why the stock did what it did, but I'll just tell you, sometimes market mechanics. You have people who are buying the dip and they think it's going down. They start getting run over. And any market maker, not that there's going to be a lot of people making markets in a stock like NEWA, but anybody who was trying to make markets in NEWA is absolutely run over. Market making works well in oscillating markets. It works well even in trending markets. You just need a little bit of chop. When you see stocks just go straight down for points, and this is what this did in the last 10 minutes or last 20 minutes yesterday. It was $17, and then they just hit the sell button. Maybe you're even getting people like you who are getting margin called out of it. I mean, when stocks fall that much. Yep. Again, this is another reason why stay diversified in your trading portfolio as well. People will say, well, I'm an intraday trader. I can put all my eggs in one basket. You put them in the NEWA basket and you just had, a big, hit to your account yesterday if you went all in on NEWA. Don't go all in. I stay diversified even in my trading portfolio, never putting more than 5% of my trading capital in any given stock. I think if you go up to 10, you're probably still safe, but I like to keep it, basically under 5% in any given stock. So if you got a $100,000 account, that means you don't put more than $5,000 in any given stock. That's the rules that I follow.
Let's cover a couple stocks here. I think Paul New in the YouTube chat was asking about Microsoft, Dennis, and wow. I don't know, a head and shoulders here, a top maybe. I mean, you had the all-time high that was probably off earnings. You had the sell-off, and then you got a left shoulder, you got a right shoulder here. I don't know. I keep an eye on this one. I wouldn't be, you still continue. The trend is up here, but I'd keep a real close eye on this 105 level. You had a couple lows just under 105, so good to go. It's $1.72 away, but to me, Mr. Softy's looking a little bit heavy. Dennis, many comments?
That's at the same level, 104.70. That's the level it needs to hold for the bulls to be in control. Takes that out, you can see this thing at $100. Long term, I don't get it. It's trading with a multiple way higher than some of the other big guns. I honestly think Microsoft doesn't produce that great of stuff. I mean, I think it's stuff produced by other things are better. I mean, we do these updates on Microsoft, update to Windows 10, and my computer doesn't work that well. I update my Skype doesn't work that well. I honestly just think they don't make that great of stuff. So I don't get it. I don't get why it's trading with a multiple 29 times. So I'm out. I'm not a fan. Now, I'm not saying I'm coming here shorting it. If it goes below that 104.70, I might actually short it though. So that would be my bogey in the water. Maybe it's the gaming part of it that's giving it an extra lift here. They do have that. We know everybody's into the esports and the gaming part of it. So maybe that's what's helping it as well. Obviously, EA, Activision are trading with premiums because they're involved in that. But just, so if they're trading it just off the gaming portion of it, maybe I get it. But I don't know. I'm not paying 29 times for Walmart.
All right,
for Microsoft.
Let's also take a look at the stock Roku. I think someone mentioned here a possible bear flag in it. I think Larry Glickman has been a big fan of this stock. Did he reverse on this stock and go long? Do you remember, Spencer?
Did he talk about this one?
He panned it. Remember? And he duked it out with some analyst on CNBC.
Good memory, Joel. He flipped at the end of May.
Oh, really? Okay.
He's not having as much influence as he used to. You see him yesterday trying to get NVIDIA down? It was funny. Tom Wrigley, he listens to the show every once in a while too. Shout out to Tom on Twitter there. But, he's a great follow as well. And he tweeted out something. I should almost just go grab it. Let me just go grab the tweet because it was funny. But anyway, so we know Citron tweeted out about NVIDIA again yesterday, saying they think it's going to $200, trying to influence it down, which is what, they often do. But Tom Wrigley was saying, what do you say? NVIDIA, if at first you don't succeed, try again and again and again to Citron. So anyways, because obviously Citron trying to push it down. I mean, he's not as influential as he was last year. So he's starting to lose his influence. And I think people are starting to realize, they do some great research. Citron, for the most part, when they come in, and I can remember on LCI, I believe Citron came out with a bearish report on LCI and said this could be a zero. I actually had LCI in my investment portfolio. And when he's that convicted about something, they do some good homework. So, you can't just say Andrew's always trying to push stuff around. I think some of it is trying to push stuff around, but they do good research. And the stock was like $20-some when he said that. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to own it if Andrew thinks this is a zero. And I sold my LCI investment because of Andrew left. So thank you, actually, Citron Research, for that. This was back in early 2018. It's $5 here now. So, and he was basically arguing the debt they chewed on was, I think that, just a little bit more than they can chew. So LCI, obviously, Andrew left it been absolutely correct about this one.
Interesting chart in NVIDIA. Remember when you guys used to get so mad at me when I call it NVIDIA? Remember, you used to get really upset with me.
Yeah, don't do that.
Triple top. Look at 253.5 here. 52.97, 53.20, 53.5. 3 highs in the same area after the report. So it will be out of the woods here. We are trading down $1.01 in the pre-market. But if you're short this thing, definitely lean on the 53.5 level.
We got 3 minutes here. So any questions in the chat, we can cover that as well.
We
didn't go into ratings. No. I would just say there is a 3 ratings: AT&T, downgrade at Wells Fargo, StarBucks, which is an interesting story because Cramer, it's just bad timing by Cramer, buddy. On Mad Money, he pitched StarBucks and was given the bullish thesis on it. About 5 minutes after he gets done his bullish rant, Piper downgrades it. So we know Piper's going to be more influential, obviously, in the short term than Cramer is. So obviously, Starbucks trading down on that. And Tiffany's catch the downgrade Bank of America.
Let's see here. I just want to talk about a good call by Nick yesterday, or kind of you too, Dennis. We were talking about Twitter, and it finally broke out of that long slumber. There were major tops at the 33.60 area. You blew through it. You got the 34.10 here, 34.14, and you pull back. So, if you're going with the breakout, a little bit of a weak market here. I would have liked to see it close over 34 for a little bit more confirmation. But Twitter, it's you got to expand to the trading range here. Close over 34 to be good. Mr. Market.
I went long Twitter yesterday too. Bad timing because I didn't know all this stuff was going to happen with the overall market, but I did buy Twitter for a swing trade. We'll stop up below $31.
All right, and what else do we? Any other?
Spencer, you were gonna say something, Spencer. Where were you gonna go?
No, I was gonna hop in with the ratings.
Okay, I read your mind.
Did the balances change at all in the last 20 minutes?
They're small. BABA 32,000. Some of your China stocks, we said already, are showing a little bit of relative strength here. You look at the FXI, it's actually trading in the green. And I think, there's a little bit to do with Trump there, too. I mean, if you think Trump's getting impeached, which I don't think that's imminent at all. I mean, the market, the media likes to, pretend like it's imminent. There's a lot of steps if we got to where it's at. But if you're trading on that, you think maybe the trade war is going to cool a little bit. It's got to be good for China. So I would think, if Trump did get impeached, and it's very hypothetical, that's probably good for China. And China has been absolutely annihilated. I mean, JP Morgan came out showing, China internet versus U.S. internet yesterday and showing the divergence, and it's crazy. I mean, the Chinese stocks we know have been rocked since really this trade war started. And obviously, the U.S. stocks have not. So you've seen this huge divergence. That's closing a little bit here today. I think would close significantly more if Trump did get impeached, but we are a long ways away from that.
Okay, quick thoughts on X here. Made a bottom after earnings at 28.41, showing some life here. I like to see it. You could even have a stretch in it here with the head and shoulders bottom, but 31.59, that was the high from yesterday. You had another high at the 31.45 area. So I like to see this close above 31.50. X on the rebound here. Fed minutes today, I think it's just going to be a little bit more of the same, but heads up on that at 2 o'clock. And Dennis, so what are you doing tomorrow? You're not going to be with us tomorrow?
No, I'd never take a day off. I'm taking the day off tomorrow. I've got a friend from Japan coming to visit me tonight, actually. I'm going to do some boating tomorrow, and I'm taking the day off. So maybe I'll regret it. Maybe this will be the biggest market moves ever, and I'll miss out on some good opportunities. But I haven't taken a day off in a long time. On this show, I'm pretty much here every single day. I don't take a lot of days off. My wife gives me heat for that. But I am taking a day off because I got a friend coming from Japan. Doctor, he was actually his high school friend. He was an exchange student back when I went to high school. Hung out with him for the year. We kind of kept up a little bit on Facebook, and he's coming to Canada for a visit. So he's popping in to see me.
So you're not going to trade after hours then? So you don't have anything on?
Probably not, because if you trade after hours, you got to use the open the next day. So I'm probably out tonight, and tomorrow morning I will trade Thursday night again. So I'll be back at it. So I'm going to take off, obviously, today. Today I trade, but I want to be basically flat by 4 o'clock because if you're putting on positions after hours, you have to obviously get it usually out in the pre-market or, the next day. Usually you don't have the liquidity to get in and out. So that's so I probably won't be trading after hours tonight.
Okay. All right, Spencer, wrap things up and preview Thursday show.
Dennis, you got to do us a favor and get the inside scoop on those Japanese markets for us. Samsung, etc. I need to know. All right, that's going to be it. That's going to be it. All right. All right. Can we look at one more? Can we look at BBOX? I know someone's been asking about this one for a while in the chat. I didn't see what the news was this morning, if I had any, but Black Box, it was no. I don't know what the news is this morning on Black Box, but can we look at the chart real fast?
Okay. I mean, it's trading down 3 cents. Don't trade a lot of these lower price stocks here. It's been pretty crazy. Further decline. You got a major support here at 128 to 132. There's 4 or 5 lows in there, and it just seems like whenever this thing gets big pops, like it did on Monday, it gets sold. You hit 205. Pretty much, my opinion there on BBOX.
And
I have no idea. I don't follow this company at all, so 0 comments on BBOX.
And my mistake on that, Samsung. I don't know why I thought Samsung was Japanese. They are Korean. So my mistake on that. But we're going to wrap the show on that note. As far as tomorrow's show, we are going to be joined by Mark Chaikin of Chaikin Analytics. I know Mark is doing a thing later today with Kramer. If you're interested, I'm putting the link in the pre-market prep chat right now. If you want to watch Mark and Jim Kramer go one-on-one as they talk the market. But Mark will join us tomorrow on tomorrow's show at 8:15, and it's going to be it. So hope you guys enjoyed this show. Want to remind you that you can catch our podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, and Google Play. And all the information from our show is for informational purposes only and not meant to be investing advice. Have a good day, folks. Hope you join us again on Thursday. In the meantime, have a good one.